Hey, Husker fans, welcome back to the Husker Big Red YouTube channel. I'm Chris Peterson, and joining me as always is Danny Gillette, and we're back here on this Monday morning. I know it's been a little bit of a week. I was out of town last week doing some family stuff. My son was taking part in the Special Olympics, so had a little road trip there, so didn't really have time to be recording stuff in the studio. But we're back here on this Monday morning, and man, it's been a great weekend for the Nebraska softball team. Jordy Bahl and company cruising into the Super Regional for the first time in 11 years. We're going to get into some football talk. We've got the Big Ten baseball tournament starting Tuesday in Omaha, and it's an interesting bracket. I know some people like it, some people don't. So we'll talk about that and everything else that we can think of that have to do with Nebraska. So if you haven't already, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. And Danny, how are you doing this morning, man? It's good to be back with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I felt a little empty last week. I kept having panic attacks, thinking I had overslept our show, but it was uh, it was great to be back, and I'm glad your son had a successful tournament.
Yeah, it was a fun time. Brought home a gold medal, the bronze medal. So
Sweet,
yeah, had a fun time all around.
that's awesome. Yeah, no. Luckily for you, there is baseball and softball news, but there wasn't a ton over this last week. But even yet, it does give us an opportunity to shout out the softball and baseball teams a little bit more.
Yeah, especially the softball team over these past 3 days with Jordy Bahl, just playing incredibly as she has all season, but really not alone. I mean, Nebraska outscoring their opponents, I think 32-4 is what I had it calculated. Three
Hmm.
consecutive run rule victories, an 8-0 shutout on Sunday against Southeast Louisiana team. I think they beat 13 or 14-1 on Saturday. So, I mean, it was interesting
14.
that they didn't have to end up playing LSU. Southeast Louisiana beat LSU twice, so that was kind of fortunate for Nebraska. But regardless, they took care of whoever was in front of them. And man, is there a better softball player right now in this country than Jordy Bahl? I mean, she is absolutely incredible. And of course, on Friday, she became the fourth player in college softball history to get 20 home runs and 20 victories in a season. And now she's closing in on 25 home runs and 25 victories. And she would be the first player ever to do that. So that just tells you, how good Jordy Bahl has been for this Nebraska softball team.
4 home runs in 3 games during the regional round. The first time that's happened since 2015. She also had a 10 strikeout day. Double-digit strikeout games on the season now. It seems like it's almost a video game. For just a video game on easy mode, freshman mode, whatever you want to call it. She's like I said before, she's superhuman, and it's not just impressive that she's getting these numbers done. It's the fact that she's performing at a high level, both hitting and pitching, and she is absolutely incredible. And a lot of times these prospects don't live up to the hype. Well, she deserves and has lived up to every bit of it.
Yeah, I mean, when she came to Nebraska with a ton of hype, last year, and then she suffered
Yep.
the injury, and I think this is what Nebraska fans were wanting, were expecting, were hoping for when Jordy Ball came here, that she could elevate this program, and she's done it in her first year,
Hmm.
coming off a major injury. I mean, that's the other thing too.
Hmm.
Is like she's coming off a major injury, and man, I mean, just like for she was at had like I think 12 at bats maybe in this regional and didn't get out one time. I think she had
Yeah.
five hits, was walked every single time she didn't get a hit. I mean, it's just incredible. She has set the single season program record this season for home runs, for runs scored, for extra base hits. I'm sure she's got it for season wins. I mean, I can't believe she does. She probably had that like a month ago. And so, I mean, it truly is, incredible. And I think when you look at this team for, softball, I mean, it is a lot like baseball in the sense that, your pitching and hot pitching can help you, but in softball, you really can lean on that starting pitcher even more. And she only had to pitch 12 innings. I mean, I think if you had told Nebraska, last weekend on Friday, like, oh, hey, we're going to sweep through this tournament, Jordy's only going to have to pitch 12 innings. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think they would have believed you. I
Yeah.
mean, not only would have
Yeah.
they been doing like back flips, I don't think they would have believed you. And so, I mean, the fact that she really has her arm rested up going up against the Tennessee team that has, one of the best pitchers in the country as well. And let's see, I believe it's Carrion Pierce, or yeah, Carlin Pickens. Sorry, everybody. So hopefully that's how she pronounces her name. But she is right there with Jordy. She actually has a lower ERA at 0.9, 22-8 this season for the Vols. So It's going to be a challenge. Two of the best pitchers going at it. I mean, that's the only thing I guess we haven't seen with this Nebraska team is can this offense, produce against those elite pitchers? We saw
Mm,
UCLA hold them to 2 runs in,
mhm.
the Big Ten semifinals. So I mean, it's possible. It's been done, but man, this offense outside of Jordy Bahl has been incredible too. I mean, setting records for runs. I mean, Sammy Bland, Ava Cusack. I mean, there's a bunch of ladies that have really stepped up for this team.
Just taking a look at some of the numbers, 26 run rule wins on the season, which is the most in school history, and that just speaks to what a machine this offense has been for the most part. Obviously, they struggled against UCLA, and it happens. They are human, but it just speaks to how good this Husker team can be when they really get it rolling. And um, they've had 17 innings with multiple home runs after hitting 2 home runs in the first inning. So when this offense is hot and it finds its groove, it's extremely hard to stop. And like you said, this Tennessee game is going to be a bit of a challenge, but they've shown that they can produce. So I feel relatively confident.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel really confident with how they're playing because you've got Jordy Bahl, pitching extremely well, hitting well. The defense is playing well. So yeah, it's going to be really exciting. But to be back in the super regional, a best of 3 series to get to the college women's college World Series. I mean, you can't ask for more as a Nebraska fan. So
Mm-hmm.
it was crazy. Nothing against Texas A&M didn't hurt my feelings though from the whole Trev Alberts thing to see the number 1 seeded Aggies, who the top seed in the overall tournament, got knocked out on their home field last night by Liberty. That was crazy, and I think it shows that the NCAA softball tournament. I mean, there can be madness just like there is in March. So we saw some of that, some May madness, I guess you might say.
Never a bad day when Texas A&M loses, and I wonder if it's the Trev Alberts effect, but we'll see. We'll
Yeah,
see.
we'll see, man.
I'm,
I think it is, but
I mean, I don't know. ESPN. If you get fired from ESPN or let go from ESPN, you've done something pretty horrible. But anyway, good on these ladies for getting the job done. I mean, Jordy Bahl continues to roll, and you have to wonder if fatigue is setting in for her, not because she's playing poorly, but just because she's just it's truly like a machine, like a creative player, and I'm always amazed every single weekend at what she can do. Because
yeah.
I mean, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. Maybe Shohei Ohtani, but that's it.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can honestly compare her to. And yeah, it was, I wrote some takeaways on huskerbigred.com last night about it, and I was like, I don't have any more adjectives to describe Jordy Bahl because every adjective that I use just seems like to fall short of what she's
Mm,
doing. I mean, and you can say incredible, like whatever you want, whatever word you want to use, it doesn't seem like it's enough for just the impact she's had on this team. So I mean, I'm blown away by her, and it's just been fun to watch her. It's been fun to watch this entire team. That's the thing is like I don't
yep.
want to sit here and act like it's hard not to talk about Jordy Bahl because she has been
Right.
so incredible. But these other girls are, I mean, you don't score 32 runs by yourself, and this
Right.
defense has been really great, and so everything's clicking right now, and you can't ask for anything more than a record-setting offense and when one of the best pitchers in college softball. So if you got that, you have a chance, and I think this team has a chance to get to that College World Series. So keep our fingers crossed for this next week. But it starts on the 23rd, and so
So Friday.
Friday. So Friday's game 1. I'm assuming it's just a 3-game series. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The first game is going to be on ABC. It looks like 2 p.m. Central. So let's go, man. It's going to be awesome. I'm stoked for it. I'm so stoked for this. I hope the Huskers can, of course, knock off Tennessee because, as of course, to add another layer, we got the Big Ten, SEC matchup of it all.
It was fine to see some fans call for Rhonda Revell's firing earlier this season after a rough series, and now she looks to be in pretty good shape. And honestly, and this seems like a yearly occurrence for the baseball team, but people are calling for Will Bolt to be fired, and now they have a chance to make some noise in Big Ten tournaments. So who knows?
Yeah, that's a good segue there. And yeah, Will Bolt has definitely got a lot of criticism this year, but I think the Huskers did finish strong. They won 5 consecutive series to close out the regular season after beating Purdue on Saturday. That got them the number 8 seed, right?
Mhm.
In this Big Ten baseball tournament. So how it works, there's 12 teams. They're split up into 4 pools of 3 essentially. So you've got, Nebraska's with Michigan State and I want to say Oregon, right? Am I wrong on
Mhm.
that?
No, you're
Okay,
right.
so basically Nebraska has to finish with a better record than Oregon in order to advance, because if there's a tie, if there's a 3-way tie or whatever, or a 2-way tie, which I don't think there could be a 2-way tie. But if there's a 3-way tie, then the team that's seeded highest is going to advance automatically. It's not based on run differential or anything, which I think is a little bit weird. But I mean, I guess they earn that status over the course of the entire season, so it doesn't really bother me that much that they get the tiebreaker status. So for Nebraska, basically, it's you got to win both of your games. That's the only way that you can guarantee getting through. So I mean, I like this format. But it's just you beat Michigan State, and then you're playing Oregon basically at home in Omaha to get to the semifinals. So I don't think that's a bad deal for Nebraska at all.
I don't think that's a bad deal for Nebraska at all. It just depends on what team shows up. I mean, they have played better as of late, but I still worry about some inconsistencies. But hey, you remember this time last year at tournament time, and they got hot and they got on a roll, and it was a lot of fun to watch, by the way. And so, maybe that can happen again.
Yeah, I think it just, obviously the pitching is going to have to get hot, and I think that's probably probably my biggest question mark just going into this postseason is how's the pitching going to hold up, without McConaughey. But we saw
Mm.
guys really step up, last year. I mean, Jackson Brockett, I believe, had a really great start in, I think it was our other ace that came in there in the elimination game. I can't remember what his name was now, which is kind of sad because he was so good last year. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I do, but I can't remember the name off the top of my head either. So,
But anyway, Tucker Timmerman is going to have to step. I'm assuming he's going to get the ball on Tuesday night. The sophomore who's kind of stepped up this year, and they've kind of had him, be the ace the past few weeks, the Friday night starter. He's going to have to step in there and pitch well. Will Walsh, Jackson Brockett, Josh Horn. These guys are really gonna have to deliver. I think the offenses will do a good enough job kind of carrying the load. They've been fine for the most part all year. Hitting's never really been the problem for this team. I mean, for the most part, it's been a lot of the pitching woes, in my opinion. So we'll see what happens. They've kind of put themselves a little bit, into the mix. They probably needed to sweep Purdue and Michigan to probably have a chance to get a large bid. So I don't think that that's probably possible. I think they're going to have to win this thing to get in, but you never know. You never know what's going to happen. And excuse me, I do think that just the way that this team's bounced back, like I don't know. I think that Will Bolt's done a heck of a job with this team, and I'm excited to see what they do in Omaha this week.
Josh Karen, I remember last year had a great tournament, and recalling some memories from last year, and it's a fun tournament overall. Even just as a college baseball watcher, the crowd is always really excited. They're always in the game, and I'm really excited to watch this tournament in general.
Yeah, Gabe Swanson, some of those guys. So some of those guys are still around. So maybe lightning can strike twice. I don't know. I do know that with Oregon and USC, UCLA, like it's a different Big Ten than it used to
Mm-hmm.
be. Like it's not the same kind of, I don't know, second tier league that it was before. It seems like with all these new teams in there, so it's going to be a challenge. I like the format, although I didn't hate the single elimination format of the softball tournament. I do have to say, like, why don't they just go that route? I guess I don't understand why it's different for baseball and softball, but I mean, it is
I don't
what it
know.
is.
I don't know. It's a good question. It would make sense if both of them lined up, but it is what it is, like you said. So,
And yeah, maybe it's maybe it's a pitching thing. I'm not really sure, but anyway, looking at like the Baseball of America bracket projections, Nebraska's nowhere on the list. Iowa's among the last 4 in. Michigan is among the first 4 out, and they're kind of above Nebraska in the conference standings. So I just don't really see a path for Nebraska outside of running the table and winning the Big Ten championship. So hopefully they can do that 2 years in a row. I mean, it will be different than last year, and they don't really have, they can't lose that first game like they did last year. If they lose that first game, they're probably not making it to the second round. So,
yeah.
so that's unless, I mean, I guess unless you see some crazy upsets, I don't know, but that's the thing is, like, say Michigan State upsets Oregon, but you've already lost to Michigan State, it doesn't really matter,
Yeah.
because then basically you're although no, I guess it could, because if you lost to Michigan State and Michigan State beat Oregon and then you turn around and beat Oregon, then I guess Oregon would be 0-2. I don't know. I'm confusing myself.
Hmm.
We'll see how it happens. Just win your two games, I guess, is the point, and you'll be in the semifinals. So that's all you got to worry about.
Will Bolt is 7-3 overall in tournaments, 4-4 in the NCAA tournament, 7-3 in the Big Ten tournament. So he has had success this time of year. Obviously, the NCAA is a little bit more difficult, but I feel like almost at times Will Bolt is a better postseason coach than he is a regular season coach. So hopefully that can come into play now.
If yeah, hopefully at least they figure out how to win during the week during the
Yeah,
postseason. Because if they could win more of those midweek games, they probably would be in the NCAA tournament right now. I mean, just they did need to have a better Big Ten record. They barely finished above 500. So I mean, they lost plenty of Big Ten games too, but it just I wish this team would have had Mason McConaughey, because I feel like they would be in the NCAA tournament right now. And I know that's an excuse, and I don't want to use that as an excuse, but when you lose your ace, I mean that
very
really
early in
just
the season. Yeah,
yeah, that really
yeah,
dooms you.
it
So
does.
I mean, anyway, let's switch over to some football talk. But good luck to the baseball team. Tournament starts on Tuesday. Always fun to have that in Omaha, and hopefully they can take advantage of that. So last week when we were took our hiatus, there was a bunch of talk about the over under totals, and so FanDuel and all the other odds makers have kind of released their over under projections for the 2025 season. Nebraska's in an interesting spot in the Big Ten. You've got Penn State, Oregon, and Ohio State all projected like 10.5. Then you've got Indiana, excuse me, and Michigan at projected at 8.5 or over. That's their over under where it has been set. And then you've got a bunch of other teams, USC, Nebraska, I think Iowa at 7.5. So truly, Nebraska's only playing two teams that have a higher, over under for win total projections, being Michigan and Penn State the entire season. So if you look at it from that perspective, Nebraska's schedule is very, very manageable.
Yeah,
Considering your road games are what, Maryland, Minnesota, UCLA, and Penn State. You play Cincinnati in basically what's going to be a home game. I mean, I know it's going to be at Arrowhead Stadium, but that's going to be a home game for Nebraska. Like, no question in my mind. That's going to be, I'm sure there'll be like 10% Cincinnati people if they're lucky, but like, it's going to be a sea of red, just like it is during Chiefs games, and not the Cincinnati Bearcat red,
yeah,
Um, so yeah, I guess a long story short, where do you kind of rest on this? Are you confident that Nebraska's, going to hit over that 7.5? Like, would
yeah.
you be, are you gonna go down, lay down some bets, go hit up the old bookie, Danny, and throw down some cash on Nebraska?
Never ever throw cash on Nebraska in anything. That's what I've learned. But I do feel confident. I'm seeing at least 9 wins this year, and I know I sound like you a little bit, but I am drinking the Kool-Aid this year. So I think that's a little bit low, but we'll see.
Yeah, I definitely think I'm really confident they're gonna hit it. And I agree. I don't bet usually with Nebraska, though
No, never.
my state does. I don't ever usually bet, but my state has this betting thing, and I was trying to set it up for the Super Bowl, and I couldn't figure it. It's like so dumb. You have to go to a in-person kiosk. So I do have this leftover money on my betting account, so I might just throw it on the Huskers this year, because I just don't see how this team doesn't win. If they only win 7 games, like, I don't want to be Matt Rule next year, because the state's going to be just in an
Again,
uproar.
the state complains no matter what.
Well,
So I
that's
mean,
true. Yeah.
I mean, I don't really take that into too much consideration, but I mean, 7 wins next year would be a little bit of a disappointment. So
Yeah, I think it would be based, just looking at the schedule, but we'll see. I think that I still have that Michigan game. I think is going to be a really defining one for Nebraska. I think that's a must-win game for them. I really do, because I think if they win that game, I think there's a very good chance they're like 6 or 7-0. I mean, looking at that schedule,
mhm,
I think they would have 5 games before they even have to go on the road.
mm.
And I just feel like if they could beat Michigan and beat Michigan State, like get some of those wins under their belt and get some confidence that, like, they are as good as they think they are. I don't think they're going to have. I don't think they'll stub their toe as much. I mean, I really do think they need some of those defining wins. They need to end that stupid. I really hope that Michigan's ranked because they need to end that stupid losing streak against ranked teams. They've just got to do that. That's just ridiculous that we have not beat a ranked team since what, 2015, I think. Was it
Yeah.
Michigan State? Was it the Michigan
Yep.
State game? My God, that's insane. A decade, that's insane. We've got to get that finished this year. They've got to end that this season, regardless of like making the playoff or anything else. Like they've got to beat a ranked team. And mostly I just want Nebraska. Like I want to get back to the point where every single week when I see their name pop up on the schedule, there's a number next to it. We're ranked every single week because that's what Nebraska football should be. I'm not saying they should win national championships, but they should never, ever, ever be outside the top 25. I mean, that's just my opinion. It should be a rare thing for the Huskers to be outside of the top 25. And for the last decade, we've lived there. So hopefully this will be the year that finally starts to change.
I hope so too. I mean, like you said, the schedule is favorable. You look at even the opener against Cincinnati. I think that's a very winnable game. Seems like we always play on Thursdays, but anyway, I do like the schedule this year. I like it a lot more than last year, honestly. But that's why we play the games, and I feel like the work they did in the transfer portal this offseason, both on the offensive and defensive side of the football, was very productive. The recruits that they brought in, Cortez Mills and Isaiah Mosey, and then you have Christian Jones, Dawson. Like I think that helps sets a strong building block for the future. And I think the coaches that they brought in and retained, a la Dana Holgerson, that those all kind of lined up together too. So I think everything is put in place nicely for Nebraska, and now it's just about executing.
Yeah, and just you just gotta deliver, man. Dylan Loyola, the offensive line. So we'll see kind of how that all works out. But I think Nebraska fans have a reason to be excited. But we've said that before, so we'll see how it goes. I know that
Yeah,
we're almost getting to the summer, and it's almost we'll be able to focus on recruiting here for the next couple of months, I think, and then fall camp.
I think it's going to be a busy summer.
Yeah, I agree. I think so too. So there's a few things we wanted to cover on the recruiting trail. Not a ton of things happening. That's going to happen. The fireworks I think are going to start here in a week or two. But Trey Taylor, obviously the 2027 commitment was at the regional Elite 11 and was took third, I think, in the accuracy competition. Still doing a lot of recruiting. Said he's been talking quite a bit to Claude Mpua, who the big offensive tackle out of Chicago. Bring him along with you. If there's somebody you want to bring with you, man, that would be the guy. Get you some blindside protection. But there is potentially another in-state offer to consider that Nebraska's at least kind of sniffing around. Nelson Wheeler, 5'9" running back, 200 pounds, out of Omaha. He's ranked as a 3-star recruit. He's the 12th ranked player in the state of Nebraska for this class, but he has a pretty interesting offer list. Illinois, Wisconsin, Cincinnati, Michigan State. He's got 18 offers. He's visiting all those schools, those Big Ten schools, Kansas, Maryland, Northwestern, Oregon State, Washington State, or some others that have offered him. He, as a sophomore, he ran the 100-meter in 10.77. He's transferred right now, so he's not doing track this spring. But they did just visit him recently. I think I don't think it was EJ Barthel. It was another coach, one of the other recruiting assistants. Went and saw him in person recently, but I just think it's an interesting name to kind of monitor with, I know they've got, Stephen Walker, Jamal Rule, and Brian Bonner. Kind of those are the top 3 guys on the list. But if they're only able to land maybe one of those 3 guys, I could definitely see them pivoting to Wheeler. And I don't think that would be a terrible move. I think he definitely has the ability to play at Nebraska.
I know Oklahoma is involved with Walker, so that obviously is a bit of a concern, but Wheeler is definitely a talented player. He's the kind of player whose recruitment, kind of maybe started off slow, but is now really beginning to pick up. Landing another in-state kid would be huge, and getting more running back depth would be even bigger. Right now, I like where the room kind of stands, but it's about building for the future and building depth and, getting, a kid in your backyard is certainly always a good thing. I know there's been a lot of talk about not getting kids in our backyard, but Wheeler would definitely be a solid get.
Yeah, which speaking of that, it's so interesting. I know we've talked about this ad nauseum, so I don't want to go too much
Mm.
into it, but it was a little eye opening that Jeff Tamalia got offered by Alabama last week. I thought that was,
Yeah, no, good for him.
and not saying that Nebraska. I don't think that. I mean, that ship sailed at this point. I mean, I just don't think that that's happening. But it's going to be interesting because that's a comparison that that's going to be one of those if the kid goes along and starts at Alabama and does all this stuff, like that's one that's going to stick in the crowd of Nebraska fans for a long time. I mean, it just will. I mean, I'm not
He's
saying
not
that's
going to.
fair, but
He's not going to.
you never
It's
know.
Alabama with Nebraska competition. He's not going to.
Yeah,
And
we'll
if he
see.
is, I'll gladly donate to his NIL fund or something. But we were saying similar things about Daniel Kalen.
Yeah, I mean, but I still think. I mean, if it wasn't for Dylan Raiola, I think that Daniel could compete for this job, though. I mean, I just think that he really got in a. I don't think it was a reflection of him,
No,
and I still think he's got a good shot to start in Virginia. So, like, we'll see how it works out. But yeah, that's
I
just
do
going to
too. But
be
my point is that big Nebraska in-state class is all gone.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, and you're not wrong. Morrison, McMorrison, Davon Hall, and all those guys, and I think that's definitely played a role for Nebraska in some of their the way that they've recruited the state. So Matt Rule
I'm
said that.
interested. I'm interested in Dayton Rail's development because if he can somehow, I think he's a really talented quarterback. But if he can continue to develop, then I think that will give us a clearer picture why we didn't go after Jeff.
Yeah, yeah, and we'll see. It's going to be interesting because those two will be connected in the minds of
Yeah.
Nebraska fans, like for
Yeah.
sure. And so that's not really fair, but that's just how it
No.
works out. I mean, Caitlin Clark and Paige Beckers are from the same class. I mean, that's just how it works when you're in the
Yeah.
same class and you get those comparisons. So we'll see. I don't think he'll probably end up going to Alabama, but if you're Iowa State, man, you got to be a
Well,
little bit worried.
they've been on, Nebraska recruits like white on rice. So I think they'll probably give him a good look.
They have been. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see if he sticks with Iowa State or if Alabama gets him to flip there. But yeah, interesting.
Also, this
Either
isn't
way,
Nick Saban's Alabama either. Yeah.
no, it's not. But
No, it's interesting though, because you think like you look at the different offensive style that Alabama has under Kalen DeBoer versus Nick Saban. I don't know if Tamalia would have been a guy that Saban recruited. So it's just interesting.
yeah, maybe not. And yeah, DeBoer. I mean, I do trust DeBoer, especially with quarterbacks. And I still think I know a lot of Alabama people are maybe a little. I still think they got a great coach in Kalen DeBoer. I think they did that one right. It's hard to be Nick Saban, but Kalen DeBoer's won
Yeah,
everywhere he's gone. I
trying
mean,
to follow up Nick Saban is
yeah.
a tall order. It's like trying to follow up Bill Belichick.
But we got Washington to the championship game, so we'll see, man. It was the best move Alabama could make because Dan Lanning, wasn't leaving, and you know what? Dan Lanning still has a lot to prove. I mean,
Yeah, no,
people
I
people act
definitely
like
agree.
Dan Lanning's the greatest thing since sliced bread, but I mean, he beat Ohio State once. Like he's got one major victory his entire career. I mean, really, how many times has this guy? He had Bo Nix 2 years in a row, and they lost to Oregon State. All they had to do to basically get into the playoff was
Yeah,
not lose to
yeah,
Oregon State and Washington. And I mean, Washington ate his lunch twice.
yeah,
So it's like, and then you got the number one team and you get your ass handed to you in the Rose Bowl. I
yeah,
mean, that just wasn't a loss. Like that was one of the most embarrassing performances I've ever seen from a number one team in a bowl game. I
yeah. They
mean,
were not
literally.
good at all.
So it's like, I honestly don't. I think Dan Lanning's a great recruiter, but I don't. We'll see. Well, I'm not sold that he's ever going to win anything in Oregon.
Well, I was going to say that kind of sums up the Oregon program, right? I mean, so many
Yeah,
good athletes, and yet so far, I can still remember the 2015 national championship game, and Zeke ran all over the Oregon defense, and that was a
yeah.
good Ohio State team, but it was just another example of Oregon shrinking under the bright lights.
That was a good. That Ohio State team was 10 times better than this last team that just won it. 10 times better.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree, but this last Ohio State team got hot at the right time, so
And they were good, but like that. I mean, the people they're like that was the greatest run in college football. No, it
no,
wasn't. That wasn't. You guys
no.
finished fourth. in your conference, dog. Like that's not the greatest team of all time. That's not even in the conversation. They're not even in, like, you want to talk about, like, that'll like put that team up against 1995 Nebraska, bro. It's not even close. It's not even in the same universe. Like putting 2024 Ohio State team in the same conversation as a team like Nebraska or like Miami or Joe Burrow's LSU team. Like, it's just an insult. It's just insulting to college football, because like that Nebraska team literally crushed everybody. But they didn't lose to a team that was 6-5 on their home field. You know what I'm saying? Like, so
Not to
this,
mention that 2015 Ohio State team had to go to their third string quarterback at the time, and they were still able to, win a national championship. Cardell Jones really played well over that final stretch, and of course Zeke helped. But they were so deep that year. They were incredibly talented that year, and I mean, Urban Meyer teams are well coached, and that's the other part of it too. I mean, he won with Utah, he won with Florida, he won with Ohio State. So, yeah, that 2015 team was something special.
yeah, and they crushed Marcus Mariota in Oregon. But anyway,
Yeah,
we'll see if the Ducks get over the hump this year. If Nebraska can get over the hump this year, we've got. I guess we shouldn't really be talking smack about Oregon because they've won a lot more games than we
yeah,
have. But at any rate, I should say, messed that up. But I'm excited about this season, and man, I'm excited about Trey Taylor. So let's
yeah.
get to it. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of the silly season already. Let's just get to the football.
Well, it's almost the end of May, or it's the middle of May right now, but we're getting there, and the silly season is just that, and silly season. All these crazy tweets and things like that. The kind of angst over the baseball team and the softball team and Jet Tamalia being the biggest story. Like, I'm tired of the off season. I really am.
Yeah, I'm tired of it too. I'm going to put myself in a coma for the next 2 months and just wake up on
Yeah,
August 29th.
like coming up pretty soon. Yeah,
So, all right, you guys. Well, we'll be back with another episode this week. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe, and thanks for hanging out with us again. And as always, go Big Red.
go Big Red.